Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is March 1st, and right now we are looking at the Doppler radar here across Southern California. You can see some of the heavier segments moving across San Diego this morning. This will continue to move out of the area, but there are still some blizzard warnings, winter storm warnings in effect here with this upper level low across the state. Take a look at some of those details here in a moment. You can see the mid-level water vapor loop with the system across Southern California is going to be moving out of the area today, but again, still some snowfall occurring at the higher elevations, some heavy rain possible along the coastal regions as well. Then as we go on into the extended a little bit more, we're going to get a break first. Then we're going to bring another deep trough here off the Pacific Northwest. Going to bring some systems into California, some more heavy snows across southern and central California. We'll see how those impact the Southern California area as well. And then well off into the extended, we have the potential to turn a little bit warmer here and might start bringing some atmospheric rivers towards the state here. But it's off into fantasy land, just something we're going to watch. Just keep it in the back of your mind as of now. This is some of the special weather statements that were going on last night and through this morning. You can see land spout possible, some water spout activity with some of that shower activity last night through this morning, probably on the wane this morning now. So not too much of a threat as the system is moving off to the east. Now taking a look here, dangerous marine conditions do exist. You see the steep seas and the big wind gusts out there, strong rip currents and high surf out there. Pay attention to your local National Weather Service. Great graphics here from Los Angeles. This is rain and snow through today, Tuesday. You can see down to 2,000 feet in some areas, up to 4 inches out there as well. So watch out for that. Have a heads up. This is Central and Northern California temperatures here. National Weather Service Sacramento as of 6:30 a.m. There is freeze warnings in effect out there, so watch out for some slick spots out there across the roadway, especially across the higher terrain. Now this is kind of an interesting, funny look at things from the California Highway Patrol, just kind of highlighting the fact that there is huge amounts of snowfall across some of the roadways up there. Do not travel if you do not have to. They're having problems keeping the roads clear. People are getting stuck, so heads up for that. Now, this is looking at that as well. You can see some of the conditions out there across some of the highways and the higher terrain. And also, people are getting stuck out there. Do not drive around the I-80 closures. Apparently, there's been some issues with that. But we should be getting a break here for the next couple of days. They should be able to clear out some of these roadways here across some of the higher terrain before the next set of storms starts moving in. Now, looking at this, hard freeze warning all the way out to the coastline here. And you can see the higher terrain down into the teens here. So heads up for that. This is a better detailed look here with the current hazards right now. Freeze warnings for some of the valley. You still have the blizzard warnings going on for some of the Sierra Nevada. You got winter storm warnings, advisories, high wind warnings, wind advisories across the areas. This system is still churning over Southern California. But again, it should be over by tonight for much of the area. Then we're going to get a couple-day break at least before the next set of storms moves in. This is looking at the 1 through 3 overall winter storm impacts, mainly just for day 1 before we start to relax things a lot as we go on through this week. But then again, like I said, another round of storms is on its way. Day 1, can't rule out a thunderstorm across Southern California with this upper level low over the top of the state. Now this is looking here at convective available potential energy. You can see why that thunderstorm threat exists as you go on in through the late morning and afternoon hours today before the system finally pulls off to the east there. This is also the NAM3KM composite reflectivity. This is what the Doppler radar may look like. And you can see that shower activity continuing on through this afternoon. You can kind of see the upper level low spin in the atmosphere there as the system moves off. Now, taking a look here, this is last night's GFS run. There's the upper level low. There's California, Hawaiian Islands way down to the bottom left here. Put it into motion. System gets out of there. We do get a break here as we go on into Thursday into Friday before the next trough starts dropping over the Pacific Northwest here and starts to aim some more heavy snowfall towards the state. How far south will this get is yet to be seen, but it does bring some additional heavy rounds of snowfall across some of the higher terrain. Some rainfall for the valleys, thunderstorm potential as well as we go on in through early next week. And you can see this upper level low continuing to spin off the west coast here, bringing additional rounds of snowfall possibly before some warmer air starts to get brought in across the Pacific Ocean here. Taps a little bit of the subtropical moisture here a little bit better here, bringing it into the state, as you can see, although we are getting way far out in the forecast at this point. So this is kind of fantasy, but just have in the back of your minds, we may return to a bit of a more warmer pattern coming up and then go towards the end of the GFS here. And you can see stronger atmospheric rivers starting to show up in some of the extended forecasts as well. But again, just fantasy, nothing to worry about just yet. Have it in the back of your mind is all. Here we go, Pacific Ocean. There's Japan on the left. California is on the right. Hawaii is there. We're looking at 250 millibars, 34,000 feet. You can see that ridge that brought the big troughing over the west coast recently. Then we get a bit of a break. Then the trough reopens here across Pacific Northwest. More cold air comes down across the region here, continuing to bring storms into California through this weekend into next week, as we talked about. And then the jet stream looks to elongate across the Pacific Ocean here, maybe bringing some warm air into California here. We'll watch that one closely as we go through the extended right now. No point in getting caught up in any details with this just yet, other than there is the chance of returning to some warmer, wetter conditions across the state. This is looking at the upper level pattern here, 500 millibar temperature. There goes the system across Southern California today. Break for a couple days, and then another deep trough polar lobe sets up over the Pacific Northwest, and that's going to bring that mountain snow and additional systems through this weekend into early next week, shown there. Now, taking a look here, this is precipitable water, and this is the wide view of things here. There's Japan, Hawaii, California there. Put it into motion, and you can see the big trough opening up off the west coast here. But it is, it doesn't have the big, juicy atmospheric rivers that sometimes we get across the state here. But then off through the extended here, it starts to allow some of the subtropical moisture to move into the region here. So we have to watch that closely as we get closer to this. You probably heard some chatter about this on social media coming up. It is still fantasy right now. We don't know the details of this just yet, but we're just going to kind of watch that as we go. This is looking at total snow-Kucharen ratio. So as that trough opens up over the Pacific Northwest, you can see the big snowfall is really piling up across Northern California and the Sierra Nevada again as we go on in through next week. So no rest for the weary. We're going to keep this snowpack going all the way through next week, probably at least, and we'll watch that storm system closely and check out how it varies day to day in the forecast. 6 to 10 day, 8 to 14 days sound like a broken record, with much of the west being below normal. You can see the avalanche danger still occurring here for the Sierra Nevada up towards Mount Shasta as well. And, try not to travel if you don't have to. Let's give everybody a couple days to clear out the back roads and some of the higher terrain here as before this next round of storms moves into the area. This is excessive rainfall outlook, just kind of associated with the frontal system moving down across the area today. Not too big of a threat. There could be some localized flooding associated with that. And anytime they issue these day one excessive rainfall outlooks, they also put out forecast discussions here. So this is another service the National Weather Service provides here. They talk about IVT, integrated vertical transport. That's how we measure atmospheric rivers. Not that we're dealing with that this time, but if we look into the extended forecast here, this is the GFS shows that IVT, as you can see, integrated vertical transport. This is how we measure atmospheric rivers. Depending on the strength of this, the value and the duration of the event is how we gauge atmospheric rivers. And that's shown here. You can see there's different levels based on the IVT magnitude and the duration of the atmospheric river. The longer it lasts, of course, the more extreme or exceptional it can become. So just giving you guys an introduction to this. Hopefully we're not dealing with it in too extreme of a, hopefully it doesn't get too crazy here through the extended, but it gives you a little bit cause for concern. It makes forecasters nervous when you start to see atmospheric rivers start to point at California in the extended with all the snowpack across some of the higher terrain. You start melting that snowpack and bring in heavy rain, things can get crazy in a hurry. So we'll continue to watch that for now. Nothing to get worried about too much just yet. So anyway, we're going to get a couple days break. Let's clean things out here before the next round of storms. Looks like it's on its way through this weekend, on in through next week, early next week, and on in through mid next week. So we'll go ahead and watch that day by day here. We'll do another briefing tomorrow and see how this trends. And I hope you guys are having a good day, and I'll talk to you guys then.